Hello, I was out here just doing a little work, mixing up some chicken feed. Thought I'd go ahead and show everybody my homemade chicken feed recipe here, formula, whatever you want to call it. It's a whole grain feed. So when I first got chickens, I didn't want to feed them like a standard layer feed because it's just pellets or a cracked meal or something like that, and it's mostly soy and corn, which are two heavily GMO'd things, and there's varying opinions on that or whatever, but and also with soy, something about estrogen or whatever, but basically I just figured there's, it's formulated to give the chicken exactly what it needs to produce eggs, the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbohydrate, the right amount of fat, just, to a T. But I just feel like it's not the most natural feed for them to be eating, and I wanted to see what I could do with whole grain, if I could, because I think that's, chickens that were out in the wild scratching, eating grass seed heads and whatnot, this would how they would eat it in a whole grain form. So what I wanted to do was mix up a feed that had the right amount of protein, because that's sort of like the most important thing with the feed, if you want egg production, is the amount of the protein, because they got to have enough protein to produce eggs. That's just how it is. So I think it's optimal to have I don't know, between 16 and 20, something like that. So what I did was I gathered up all these different grains and seeds and things and took their nutritional content, which is on a bag of feed. You have to go to the farm and feed store to get this kind of stuff, but there's a tag on here, pigeon barley, and it'll give you what it's actually this one doesn't this one doesn't give you the nutritional content. Well, where's a different one? Here. Here's barley, and this one actually says non-GMO, which none of the others do, which is cool. But it says crude protein not less than 11%, crude fat not less than 2%, crude fiber no more, or not more than 9%. So basically I just took all that information and averaged it out by the amounts that I was putting in here, by the parts, and getting a rough estimate of what the protein content was, and I was pretty much in the range. And so when I supplement them with food scraps from the house, or I work in a kitchen, so I have access to lots of vegetable scraps and whatnot, so I give them that kind of stuff. I bring it home from work, and then also what you can see I'm munching on right here is some fodder, some wheat fodder. I grew wheatgrass in a tray with no soil. It's just all root and seed and grass, and gave them some of that today, and they seem to be liking it. They'll eat it up, and it's that's a great way to extend your feed, or reduce your feed costs and extend your feed, because you can take 1 pound of wheat seed or barley seed, sprout it, germinate it and then sprout it, and then grow it into grass, and turn that 1 pound into 6 pounds of feed. And also, the sprouting process makes more of the nutrition bioavailable, I guess is the term, but your body can get more of the nutrition out of and this goes for humans as well as chickens and other animals, but so you get something like 20% out of the wheat seed. If you were to just eat it, you get 20% or something like that of the nutrition, but you can get up to 80%, I think, by sprouting it. So anyway, on to how I make my feeds here and what it's made out of. So I got my wheelbarrow full, and this is my measuring device. It's just a kitchen container. This is a 6-quart container, but the size doesn't matter. It's all in parts. So this is 1 part as far as I'm concerned. And when I mix up a batch, I do 2 parts of everything, because it all fits in the wheelbarrow. But 1 part. So it would be equal parts. Let's go around. We'll see. Here's wheat, feed wheat. I know the lighting's kind of bad right now, but you can see feed wheat, and that's what you grow wheatgrass from or whatever. And then let's see, over here we have flaxseed, and I don't get a whole part of the flaxseed because, as you can see, they're very small, and 50 pounds of flaxseed doesn't take up nearly the amount of space that 50 pounds of black oil sunflower seeds takes up. So I put less in there, because per this volume there would be a lot more flaxseed in there than there is anything else if I was to put equal portions of that. So I do a half part of that, of the flaxseed, and that gives omega-3s and lignans and all kinds of, it's healthy for people and for animals. I try and eat flax and chia seeds daily, but this is flax, brown flax, and I get it at the feed store in this 50-pound bag, and this is the most expensive portion of my feed here, is the flaxseed, and it is around $50 for this 50-pound bag. But because I only put a half part in when I'm putting in 2 parts of everything else, this one bag goes a lot further than any of the other bags. But interesting, you know, if you go to the health food store or whatever and you buy a bag of brown flaxseed, it's like, I don't know what the cost is, it's a lot, but it's not $1 per pound. So if you want cheap flax, this is the same thing, it just hasn't been cleaned to the extent that the stuff you buy in the store is. So you know, beware. There was probably little rocks and dust and dirt and stuff in there. So anyway, I've got a half part of that to 2 parts of this. So really it would be a 1/4 part flaxseed in the recipe. A 1/4 part flaxseed to 1 part wheat berry. Over here, these are whole oat groats. And an oat seed is called a groat, which is funny, oat groats. But and this is what oats look like before they are steamed and rolled into what you're familiar with as oatmeal. And these are very healthy for humans and animals, of course. Over here is, if I can get down into the bottom of this is the end of this bag. I've got another one over here that I got today that I haven't opened, so I don't want to make a mess. But these are barley, pigeon barley. And barley is the cheapest of all the things, and you can actually sprout it and make grass from it just like wheat grass, and it's similar in nutrition for the animals and for people. That one's the cheapest. It's only about maybe, I think it was $9.50 for a 50-pound bag of barley. I think it was like $12.50 for a 50-pound bag of wheat. Oats was kind of in that range. It might have been a little cheaper than wheat. It might have been $10 or $11, something like that. Black oil sunflower seeds. This 50-pound bag was $16.50. And as you can see, they're much larger than most of the other things. So in my parts, there's going to be less sunflower seed overall than there is everything else because it takes up more space. But that's fine because these are high in fat but also high in protein, and that's why I include them. They're included in a lot of bird seeds and things, as you can see. That's what it's sold as, bird seed. But it's high in fat, so you don't want to give too much, but it's high in protein also, so it gives them nice shiny feathers and all that. And then the last thing, which is a kind of a weird thing, so as I was getting my averages of everything, I'm trying to get up to 15 or 16% protein. I'm falling short, and so I know out of dried seeds and grains and things like that, legumes are high in protein. You know, peas and beans are high in protein. So I checked to see if they just had whole peas, whole field peas or something like that, but they didn't. But what they did have was this. It's by a company called Des Moines Feed Company's Pigeon Feed, and they have a bunch of different varieties. I'm going to roll this down so it doesn't spill. And this is the King 45 pigeon mix, and what that means is that it's 45% peas. And this was the variety they had. Like I said, they have a bunch of different kinds in this brand, a bunch of different mixes. And this one had the highest pea content, so it's 45% peas, and it has a protein content of not less than 17%. So that brought my average up. So, and you can see this stuff is kind of cool. So I told you I wanted to avoid corn and soy as much as possible. This does have some corn in it, but you know, whatever. You do the best with what you can. But it's 45% peas, and there's several different kinds of peas in here. There's also some other barley and some wheat. There's a little bit of duplication of some of the other things I have going on, but that doesn't matter because we're looking at the macros of the whole, you know, the content of everything as far as percentages. So the ingredients on this are Canadian field peas, yellow popcorn, white Milo, maple peas, hard red wheat, safflower seed, Austrian peas, barley, sweet green peas, hulled sunflower seed. So there's that, and then I also add diatomaceous earth. In this cup here, this is a pint cup, but diatomaceous earth is a powder that's made from ground up diatoms, and it's good to use in the garden for killing slugs and soft-bodied insects, but that means it's also good to mix into your feed to keep bugs out of it. And also it's good for the animals to eat because it helps worm them naturally. They won't get worms because of the diatomaceous earth will cut up the bodies of soft-bodied insects. That's what it does. It's like little shards of glass lacerating soft-bodied insects, so that's pretty awesome and brutal. So so that's my homemade chicken feed recipe. And my chickens do quite well on it. They, like I said, I supplement with scraps from work, kitchen scraps and everything, and then I try and grow them some fodder when I can. I also got a bale of alfalfa hay, which I'm going to feed to the rabbits when I get them, but also you can feed it to chickens, and it has a protein content of 18%. So that helps up your protein and will up your egg production, hopefully. And it has some kind of compound or whatever in it, in the green parts of the plant that make your yolks all that bright orange color that everyone likes in their homestead chicken eggs. So that's it. There's my feed. All kinds of crazy stuff mixed up. The chickens love it. It's all natural, and cost-wise, I would venture to say that it averages out to be around the cost of what your just conventional layer feed would cost. It might be slightly more expensive, but I believe that I'm feeding them a more balanced and whole natural diet, so their health will be better, so they'll lay longer, and I'll have more nutritious eggs, because if they're eating on all this good stuff, then that nutrition is going to go to me and their eggs. That's the way I see it anyway. So that's it for today. With my chicken feed, signing off.